it was just an insane day. Everything about that day was insane. It was the most brilliant game of one-day international cricket you will ever see. UAE were nowhere. They were beaten out of sight. And then in the last 10 overs, Asif Khan played one of the best one-day international innings of all time, the fourth fastest ODI century of 41 balls. And the reality is, even the most ardent Nepal fan will have thought, over 300, we're done.
Sure.
And then, you put me in the spot here, but I'm trying to remember. I think they were 3 down for very little. 3 down for 30. And then 6 different batters got scores. I think there was 6 guys to get, where 5 of them got 50 maybe. And it was the Iceman, it was Arif Sheikh, and it was Gulshan Jah, who's 17, coming in this amphitheatre, this coliseum, this cauldron of atmosphere and energy and intensity. Like, for those who haven't been there, I know lots of Nepali fans will have been, but for those listening from overseas, it's hard to explain the energy in that ground. And it's that natural amphitheatre that it has that creates that, and then raucous energy and intensity. And for almost the entire chase, Nepal were behind on DLS. In fact, right the way up until that Mohammad Wasim over from Gulshan Jah, which he hit it for 20. And they were really never in the game, but all the way throughout that second innings, I kept thinking, genuinely, I kept going, how are we going to finish this game? Because they refused to bowl the left-arm spinners to Gulshan Jah, and they refused to bowl the left-arm spinners, and Kushamala was in at one point as well. So they kept bowling their seamers. They were even bowling part-time seamers. So this just kept stretching the game out and out and out. And I think I erroneously said on air that it was 4 hours and 40 minutes. It wasn't. I think it was over 4 hours. About 4 hours and 5 minutes they took to bowl 44 overs in the end, 4 hours and 10 minutes, like that. And at about the 40th over, the umpires had come together. It was Buddy Pradhan, and I think it was a Sri Lankan umpire with Wimaral Siri who was umpiring with him, to have a look at the light. And I'll be honest with you, mate, they could have taken them off then. They really could have taken them off then. It was so dark. Like you said, the pictures you could barely see. But they had judged that it was okay for the moment, and the seam bowlers kept going. And then I think he'd run out of seam bowlers, so Mohammad Wasim bowled himself. Didn't want to bowl his spinners, so he bowled his medium pacers. Gulshan Jah hit it for 20, and I think I said on air, the roof about to come off the place.
Yes, I remember that.
And that would, again, there's stuff you're doing when you're commentating. It's so hard to describe. It's almost, like, I've watched 25, 30 years of cricket, every ball you could ever imagine. So there's subconscious stuff you pick up from other people. For me, that moment, it was almost an out-of-body experience. And I guess, yeah, I guess the words have become a bit iconic now. But the fascinating thing about that last period of play that you described to me, the last 45 seconds, the clip that's now gone viral, we didn't know what was happening because we're in being honest, a rudimentary production that has no communications either back to our producer or no talk back. So we don't have a facility on like a professional broadcaster. Press a button and ask the producer what's happening. He'll tell you in his ear. And we can't communicate to the match referee because of the TU ground, that's at a different building. And ultimately, they're the ones who tell, we don't know. So I was using 35 years of cricket knowledge to guess what was happening right there. And really, I'm blessed by the reaction of the Nepal players because that was the thing that tipped me over.
Started running in the ground.
It's when they sprinted on celebrating. And really, actually, if you watch it back, all I've actually done is basically describe everything that's happening.
Yes, I remember.
So I've really, and I've kind of defaulted to saying what I'm seeing because I didn't know. And I was desperately, I remember talking off air to Paresh in between the overs saying, we've got to be so careful with what we say here because if we get this wrong, we're going to look like absolute idiots. And so I think all I really say is the umpires are coming together, which they did. And then clearly when they go over and flick the bails off, that's usually an indication. And they were never going to be able to get back out because it was that dark. And we had the DLS sheet in front of us at least, so we did know that they were ahead. And yeah, I think I said something like Mohammad Wasim is protesting, which they were furious. And then as soon as I saw the players sprinting on, I think I've just said the players are sprinting on. And then I didn't say Nepal have qualified for Zimbabwe because I didn't know that.
You delete that.
I said the crowd think they're going to Zimbabwe. Because that is again what was happening. And again, that's obviously the bit that's been clipped and has gone viral. But what nobody will know, though, I think there's a video of it. I then had to basically stop speaking. I said, Paresh, hold the fort. I ran down the stairs across the outside of the boundary to the match referee's room. And I said, can you please confirm the result of this match? And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Graham LeBroy. He said, yep, game's done. Nepal have won by 6 runs. Wow. And if you watch, it's a shame the ICC TV doesn't have the ability to watch the whole thing back. That's another day's work. But when I then got back to the commentary box, and there's a hilarious piece of commentary where I'm genuinely out of breath. Say, well, Paresh, breaking news. Nepal have qualified. And it was the most extraordinary sporting experience I've ever been a part of before or since. The drama, the audaciousness of the performance from a 17-year-old, the brilliance of the cricket, the fading light, the fans, the atmosphere, the energy, the intensity. It was utterly absorbing, every minute of it. And I'll never forget getting home that evening to the hotel, and I sat down at the edge of the bed. I collapsed. I fell asleep. Fully clothed. I was as emotionally spent as I've ever been at anything I've ever done in my life, because it was absolutely overwhelming. It really was. Yeah.